I'm so excited for you to get to meet someone so special. She is one of my clients. Her name is Carrie Lupoli, and she has an incredible seven-figure business that she's grown. And you're going to get to hear her story. And especially for those of you who have ever either outsourced to an ad agency or are considering it, I think you're going to find Carrie's feedback so helpful. And she's just going to share the story. She's very honest and she's just a wonderful human being. So I'm so excited to introduce you to Carrie. So Carrie, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, about your business, and about how long you've been growing it.
Well, thank you. I don't think anybody is as nice as you are, Ashley, but or as wonderful as a human being as you are, but I'll take the compliment. Yeah, I have a really successful and very close to my heart private practice in the health and wellness space. And we work with women who have been on the dieting roller coaster for their whole lives, really just confused and frustrated, and we work to help them not just get clarity. And I always say I never give a woman just a meal plan, but I help them see that their value is not in the scale, that they have to understand food in their bodies, they have to fuel it and get off that whole dieting mindset, but they also have to learn how to love themselves enough to be able to show up for themselves. And so as a nutritionist and as a former behavior specialist, I'm really passionate about our message, what we do, why we do it, and how we do it.
Mhm.
And working with you to be able to get that message across to women has been a game changer for us because we have a lot of experience in marketing and in ads, and I hit a very big wall very recently, and it was you that got me over that wall.
No. Carrie, you had already established like the foundation and had a successful business, you
Yeah.
know. I and one thing I want to talk about even before we talk about the ads is you mentioned it briefly, but you said behavior. And that's
Mhm.
actually like a really big part of what you do, right? Can you talk a little bit more about how what you do is different from maybe other people that do health or nutrition coaching?
Yeah, I always joke to say that everything I teach is BS. It's blood sugar, behavioral science, and belief systems. I was
Mm.
a behavioral specialist for more than 20 years. I was a national educational consultant. I was a special educator, and my expertise is on behaviors. And towards the end of my career, before I left to full time do this work, I worked with educators, administrators, to be able to work on turning around typically disenfranchised schools. And what was so amazing about that work was that it didn't matter the strategies that we gave teachers, it was what they believed about what was possible and what kids were capable of that actually determined the success in a classroom. And so, as I went through my own story of health and wellness with disordered eating and the dieting PTSD, as I call it, when I got really obsessed with teaching women how to actually fuel their bodies without counting calories and without giving up carbs, as I finally learned when I got coached correctly, I realized I had to teach this. So I had no intention of leaving my job. I just planned on like this little side thing of teaching because I was a teacher and I was really obsessed with it. And so I would just teach them how to eat, which was like the thing that was eluding everybody, the thing that's the most confusing thing. And the fact that you never had to track another calorie again was like so mind blowing to women. And so I was like, okay, look at that. I'm teaching women how to eat and I'm going to live my world as a national educational consultant and it's all good. And then I would check in with women 6 months, 12 months and later, and they all fell off, all of them. And I
Mhm.
was like, what's going on? I'm teaching them the last nutritional advice they'll ever need. Like, I don't understand. And I realized, Carrie, you're a behavior specialist. This is actually about behavior change. This teaching people
Mm.
how to eat is the easy thing. We just are very confused, and don't get me started about the diet industry and why they confuse us. But once we figure out what we really need, we still won't do it because our thoughts
Mm.
and beliefs dictate our actions.
That's
It's,
right.
Jamie Kern Lima in the book Worthy actually says we don't rise to the level of what we say we want. We actually fall to the level of what we believe we are worthy of. And if you have been dieting or really your why is around what you look like for other people, then you're not gonna be able to just flip a switch overnight and make it about something else because all of that thinking is really short term. It's very much around ego instead of heart. And when you
Mhm.
really change for the right reasons, you can stick with it. And then when life shows up, right? Like, I mean, Ashley, you've got kids and life can get crazy. And
Yep.
especially women, we put ourselves last in line. And so we have to learn how to show up for ourselves even when life gets crazier or, hits like when curveballs come out our way. So I realized that that was actually what I needed to be teaching, because the good part was actually the simple part.
And it's so foreign to people who have never heard that before. It's like, wait, wait, she's right. I know what to eat. I
Yeah.
just don't know why I can't follow and just do it. You know
Well,
what I
it's,
mean?
you don't need more knowledge. Now, I will say I do totally disrupt what most people think they should be doing. But once I do that, I could do that in an hour. I could tell you that, but you still won't do
Yeah.
it. It's not knowledge. The last thing we need is more knowledge. We need application. And actually, what you say all the time is that you can't see the label from inside the jar. And
Right.
we don't actually really get hold of our thoughts and our beliefs and not just constantly reacting on feeling. And we can have a really strong why, then we can actually make really sustainable changes. And I think this is really all about also changing our family tree, because I had an eating disorder because my mom did and my grandmother did. And it was
Mm.
just like, that cycle that now my two girls who are 18 and 20 years old, they have an unbelievable relationship with their body and food. And it's sort of my proudest accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a really, really big deal. And you should be really proud of yourself too for setting that example. And now you were just talking about cycles. And I feel like one cycle that business owners go through is about advertising. And it's like, do I just hire one agency and then do I go through a cycle and hire another one and does it go well and hire another one? So that's a whole thing.
Yes.
And so tell everybody who's never met you. So how much have you spent on advertising prior to when we met? And how had it gone? Just tell us a little bit more of that backstory that kind of led you, because you
Yeah.
had to have some sort of new belief about the advertising piece to be where we are today, where you wanted to learn some of this. So tell us a little bit more about what the history of advertising the business looked like.
Yeah, so I've been doing this work for a little over 10 years, and I started advertising paid ads about 5 years ago. And I didn't know, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything. And I just felt like the Facebook kind of whole at paid advertising thing, everybody that I was in any masterminds with or coaching with, they were like, it is a big black hole. You will lose your shirt. You never do it without actually somebody who knows what they're doing. If you don't know what you're doing with ads, you will lose your shirt. And it was like so scary. And so I started looking for people to be able to help me. And I will say, every single agency I hired, the people were amazing. I mean, I still to this day love them, respect them. But over 5 years, I hired 5 different agencies. And I very much believed I could not do it on my own. I mean, actually, I could barely, I couldn't even log into Meta Business Suite before I met you. Truly
Wow.
could not have done it. I've spent over $1 million in the last 4 years on ads and agencies. And while I would say that if you looked at my return on ad spend, if you looked at my books, I was successful. But it was like every month I was spending 25, 30,000, sometimes 40,000 a month on ads, plus paying an agency. And the amount of stress that I would have, because it was like there were so many pieces of the puzzle, right? Not just the ads and booking calls, but then my sales team had to perform, and just getting closers and the sales team is a whole nother thing we could talk about. And
Really?
if they were closing well, then it didn't matter how well my ads were performing. It was just like this whole cycle of a lot of stress all the time. And I couldn't get out of that cycle. And then uh, in August of 2024, actually, let me back up. I actually, in January of 2024, decided I wasn't going to do this with advertising agencies anymore. I was going to hire somebody to help me bring ads in-house. And
Okay.
I felt like, Ashley, I was just like the queen boss babe. Like she's bringing it in house. Like that's a legitimate company now, right? Like you have your own advertising people in your company. I just felt like I made it. So I spent $30,000 to have somebody train my marketing manager on ads. Mind you, I still couldn't log in to Meta Business Suite. And we did really well. And I'm like, we cracked the code. We're going to train other people on how to do this. We are, and I still couldn't log in. And then it started like falling apart, right? But we had already hired and paid this woman, and she wasn't there anymore. and we didn't know what to do. And my marketing manager just suddenly quit in August. And this was our lifeline, our pipeline of leads was only through ads. That was it. We had no other way of getting leads. We had an email list, but it was like that could only generate so much for us, especially
Yeah.
ticket sales. And I literally was like, we're shutting down. I'm shutting down. I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm so passionate about what I do, but I just saw no path. And my marketing assistant at the time, who was a contractor, she was like, Carrie, you can't shut down. You can figure this out. So I started going and just interviewing more marketing agencies because I didn't know that there was another option. And I messaged a friend who's in business, and she's like, you have to check out Ashley. So then I sent you a message because I was literally at a conference and I was like, I don't even know why I'm at this conference because I'm going to shut down. I can't do this anymore. And that's when I learned about you. And the reason I love what you stand for is because you were like, this isn't that hard, Carrie. It's like, I keep saying it's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like the guy behind the curtain. It's just a guy. He's not like, I actually, at this conference that I was at when I messaged you, I actually wrote on a piece of notebook paper, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I, and I'm like, I've started multiple businesses. I've raised two independent women. I have impacted thousands of women around the world. Right now, I run 3 companies, but I did not believe I was smart enough to do this. And I've told that story to a few people, and how many, especially women entrepreneurs, have told me the same exact thing. They just believe that they can't do this. And you are the one that really taught me that I could and believed in me, but it isn't me. It was like anybody can do this. You just need the right strategy and you need a willingness to learn.
That's
And
it.
so I brought in my marketing assistant, Kayla, as marketing manager, and it was just such an amazing, there's nobody out there doing what you do. I like that I can find because it was.
Let's not find them.
Let's not fight him. I mean, I looked a lot, Ashley. I looked a lot. And I just think it was really about I I was so far removed from the most important part of my business. Like once
The lifeblood of the business.
and then but I thought I was like delegating being a good leader, right? And as one of my mentors said, Carrie, you need to know where the bodies are buried. And I was like, I don't even know what country they're in. I have no idea. So when you came around, I learned, but like I engaged and learned and all of that, but not at the same level that I had Kayla do it, right?
Yeah.
I decided I wanted the right people on the bus, but also if Kayla decided to leave, I need to know still how to drive the bus,
Mm.
and
Until
get.
you can find someone else who can help you drive the bus, but you needed at least, and I don't know if y'all caught that. She said it and it was so good. She said you have to know where the bodies are buried. And
Yep.
especially like that's so important. There's so many things in your business that matter, and it's very easy to sell yourself on why that's not your problem, that's not your problem, that's not your problem. But if Carrie grows this 7-figure, eventually 8-figure business and ads, like AKA getting people to know about her thing, is important to it, then she's got to have some sort of understanding that says this is how this works so that she can have someone on her team now or ever that she can like delegate and understand and trust, right?
Right. I can
Okay.
build a team now of this. And I own 2 other businesses, and we hadn't run paid ads before because I was like, I'm not paying another agency to run ads for these other 2 businesses too. And that's
Yeah.
what's so incredible about this knowledge now that I have. Now I am actually running ads and starting to run ads for these other 2 businesses. And my business partners are like, this is so amazing because we can start small. We can just start a little bit, like,
Yep.
get our feet wet and get comfortable. And I don't have to pay anybody, and I'm comfortable because there is no budget when you actually get the math right and you figure out what you're doing. I can
Correct.
budge, and so but you got to test the waters a little bit. And so now I can do that. And I have the skill set that I can generalize, but also it was actually, what conference I was at when I wrote I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. I was at a conference for Kajabi, and we both use Kajabi, and Brendan Bouchard was speaking, and he said, stop blaming other people for the issues in your business. And I was
Mm.
like, and I think I really needed to hear that because I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, I have no idea how to build a website. I have no idea how to build a funnel. I have no idea. And so we just hire out. And I think we, like Brendan Bouchard, hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, and an unbelievable entrepreneur, he was literally on stage showing us his Kajabi portal and exactly how he goes in and builds sites, and like he knows how to do all that, right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
he can have a team that does all of it, but he was literally showing us the website that was up right now and how he built it. And I was like, okay, I got to come down a notch. I got to come down a notch, and I got to learn how to do all this stuff so that I could do it if I needed to. And I did
Mm,
that with my website building. I can build all that if I need to. I don't, but I just believed it. I mean, Ashley, I just had a full on mindset about ads because it was so scary. And
mhm.
you just completely, you literally knocked that mindset right off the cliff. And now I have such an empowered belief system about what we can do. And it's now translated to so many other aspects of my business. And really, everything has changed in just 3 months.
Isn't it crazy
Yeah.
how quickly your life and business really can change in such a short time period?
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at like if I did some math because
Ooh,
in
talk to us about data and math, Carrie.
the
We're here for it.
the maths here.
Let's do it. Let's
So,
hear it.
then the first 4 years that I ran ads, I pulled out all my data and I got a return on ad spend of 2.4. So right for every dollar I put in, I got $2.40 off back, and that was including my ad agency fees.
Okay,
So
so you factored that in. So your total ROAS was okay, 2.5. That's good. Okay.
that was 2020 through most of 2024.
Okay.
And then I did December 2024 until the end of February 2025. And I had a 10.8 ROAS. I mean,
Oh
that's
my God.
that's a big jump.
So
It's
you
like
5x'd your overall efficiency since we worked together. In what month was that?
we are still only running at half capacity right now because we've done a little bit. We haven't fully launched all of our ads yet. We haven't fully launched all of our like kind of our challenges and what our plan is yet. Because we're a little gun shy, but also we're just being really smart. Like now we know, and you taught us a strategy, and so we're using that strategy. But we did a 5-day challenge in June of 2023, and I spent $23,000 on that on those ads, and we brought in 68,000, and it was totally not worth it because by the time I paid people and my staff and all the like, it just absolutely was
And
not
the
worth it.
sales and the closing and all of that.
Yeah, the commissions, all that. But then we are just on the heels as we talk now, we are on the heels of another 5-day challenge. And we spent $3,000 on ads, but we got every bit of that back. It was a free 5-day challenge. We got every bit of that back on VIP sales. So it plus more. We actually got, I just checked the numbers, $3,480 in $27 VIP tickets. And so I joke that Facebook paid me to advertise for
They
my.
did. They literally said, "Here's money. Go get the people that are looking for you to find you, and I'll give you money for it."
Yeah, I'll give you $480, basically, because I spent 3,000 and made 3,480. And then as of now, I mean, I don't even know what that ROAS is. If like right now we're just at about 100,000 and we still have like 20 more calls to go. So what is that even math? I don't even know what that math is, Ashley.
It's 100 to 1 or higher. I mean, okay, so we have I got to go slow for everybody who's listening to this. If you're watching it, you're here. So let's recap.
Okay.
She spent $23,000 in June. She
Yeah.
spent $23,000 on ads and made 68,000 in revenue. Okay.
Right.
That was before we met.
Right.
She just did another challenge and she spent 3,000 on ads, but got 3,400 back on the ticket sales for that challenge because people upgraded to VIP. So she's joking, but it's true. Facebook literally paid her to run ads. Okay. Because you
And you and
profited.
I talked about not even doing it as a free challenge, like doing it as a paid challenge next time. So, but
I,
we were already in, like we're already doing it, so we weren't changing it at that
we
point.
weren't changing it. We might not change it because of how well this is
I
going.
know. I was like, well, maybe we won't change it.
I'm gonna be honest. We might be changing our mind about changing it.
Yeah.
So she does this, spends 3,000, gets 3,400 in ticket sales, and then has sold over 6 figures in revenue from the people who purchased that challenge. And she still has 20 more additional calls. So it will be 100 or 200 something in total revenue that she generated from
And
this.
then I have to tell you this too, because you're so thoughtful around audiences and how you build your audiences. And
Yes.
We right now, up until this morning, we had 100% close rate, my sales team. And then we just lost
So what that also says, which is really cool about the ads, oh my God,
one. Get the right people.
is that you got in front of the right people. That's exactly right.
And I got on a couple of calls sort of as a surprise to people, and I was like, "Tell me how you heard about us." And this one woman was like, it was an ad," and that's what everybody says, right? But she was like, "It's an ad, and something you said just really resonated with me in that message." And then when I got on there, I was like, "She is talking to me," and I was like, "Yes, that's what I'm trying to do is talk to exactly you." And
Yes.
we did.
When someone looks at you and says that ad, like that was for me. Like I'm like, I got it. I'm like, that is the goal. And now I'm gonna be honest for just a second. There's a lot of people in the health industry. Would you
Mhm.
agree? There's a lot of
Yeah.
people out there.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's a lot of people that do ads.
Mhm.
There's only one Carrie and there's only one Ashley.
Mhm.
And my voice and my message and your voice and your message are going to hit differently for different people. And what I found, Carrie, is some people who are a little bit newer in the health industry, they have come to me in the mastermind. There's multiple health experts in the mastermind that come to me and they say, how is what Carrie is doing performing so well? And it's very easy to be like, in 3 months, how does she do 6 figures in revenue? And it's absolutely not that you did that in 3 months. What's happened is
Yeah.
over the last, how long have you been in this industry working on what you're doing?
But over 10 years in this industry and building my messaging and my ability to do this kind of stuff for the last 25 years. I mean, I'm
That,
50.
that
I've been doing this for a while.
you've been doing it for a minute and you haven't quit and you've developed skill and authority. And honestly, when you sell something, I'll tell you, when you sell anything for a certain amount of time, all of a sudden you're super sold on what you sell because you saw what selling it did for people.
Yeah, and I will say in the very beginning, I knew that like I thought that what I was doing was really good, but like now I know it's really good because
Ooh.
it's incredible the stories of transformation. I feel like I am giving people a gift by being able to work with us because we can't like my private practice, we cannot work with we sell out. Like we cannot work with everybody. And so if you get an invitation to work with us, it's like we're really excited for you and we know you are going to be successful and that just lights us up in every single way. I actually just got a message this morning from a woman who was literally in assisted living last year on oxygen, could not function, and she sent me a picture, a video of her in the gym doing farmer carries, Ashley. Like, and that's the thing around selling. It's like you have to be seen so people can know you and what you're doing. And I say this all the time. I train other health pros now, nutritionists and dietitians to work on building their own businesses. And the comparison, I say this about our health, and I say this around business. The comparison is the thief of all joy. Self
Mm,
self-awareness is health in every way. And when we can be aware and recognize that there's no two fingerprints that are the same, there's no two voices that are the same, it's like, what is the pain and the struggle that you have overcome? And what's your personality? How would people describe you? And when you kind of look at both of those, you can form your very authentic, totally unique message, even in a sea of people that seemingly are doing the same thing.
that's exactly right. And the good news is there's 300 something million people just in the US alone. So like Carrie's team alone can't help everybody. Like they
No,
just
this is why I work with other health pros. I'm like, can you help me help people, please?
exactly. And I feel like when we get in we see someone succeeding in one thing, a few things happen. We think it's easy for them. We think, why is their success so quick? And what they don't see is how many people you've helped for this whole time to get to a point where you honestly can launch an ad and people are like, that hits because
Well,
you've developed the messaging.
and let me tell you this too, and this is I think that people don't get and they're very surprised at because I've been running ads for so long and we've been pretty successful. Like I would say all day long, I cannot spend the amount of time it takes for organic reach. I did that for the first 5 years.
Me neither.
I mean, I think I made uh in that fifth year like $90,000. Like I just not that that's not a little bit of money, but that I did a lot of work. A lot of work. And that was like not after that was before expenses. I didn't make any money. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a sustainable way to be able to have a business, because the amount of hours and hours and hours I was working, and then I had nothing to show for it. And so as soon as I did ads, even though I know that we're doing them so much better now, it still was so much better, easier for us to be able to run. But think about it, like, people think that they need a really big following. I still, to this day, have less than 3,000 followers. And yet I have made millions of dollars with a tribe of women who will follow me anywhere I go. And so I think that's another big important piece of this. Like, we
Mm.
work so hard to like have as many followers as we can or go viral on social media, but you always say this, ads are really this rocket fuel. And now, like, we'll be doing more ads where I'm more seen, but it's like all I've been doing my whole career really was just getting people to our funnel. And you've
Mm.
taught me that there's so many other ways that I could use ads. So now that's what we're just starting to explore and we're really excited about.
So many other ways. I mean, we have women in the mastermind who hire their entire team from people searching on Google for a position, and they're like, "Oh, here's a Google ad. You looking for a position?" I think of Jacqueline. She owns two schools outside of Nashville for children with autism, and the way that she's filled her whole second school that she just opened this year was from Google ads. Like, you can use Google, you can use ads for anything. I feel like it's like that commercial. It's like you can put that stuff on everything. I'm like, you can use those ads for everything. You really can.
It's like Windex on my big fat Greek wedding. You can
That's
put
right.
on anything and heal it. No, it's totally true. And that's why, like, I'm just a few months in, Ashley, and we've already, like, the reason I needed to be where I am right now, and the reason I'm so excited, is because cash flow. Like,
Lord, yes to some cash flow.
and in December, we spent $1,000 on ads and we got $60,000
A
in.
thousand on ads. That okay. That's so funny. If you're listening, I just want you to know one of the reasons that I want to do the podcast with Carrie was for a million reasons, because she just the way in a short period of time she's just taken this, applied it, and gotten results. But I wanted to meet with her to tell her 60-to-1 return on ad spend story. And yet then I'm hearing this for the first time today about these other results. I'm like, this checks out. Like, this checks out. Like, I'm so happy for you, Carrie. I couldn't be more happy, and I'm not surprised. And it's probably how you feel when people come to you and they're like, Carrie, this program, I was in a nursing home and I couldn't move and I couldn't breathe, and now I can work out. You're like, I'm so happy for you beyond with every fiber of my being. And yes, that's the whole point. That's why selling is so easy when you know you have a gift.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, because I like shout this now from the rooftops, and with especially with all the entrepreneurs that I work with. And I mean, I was at an event with like 150 other health pros. I was the only one running ads, Ashley. I was the only one.
Carrie, people are scarred.
Yeah,
It
they were all
didn't
like,
work.
no, no. And the one woman was like, I said, if we average, 100 calls a month or whatever. She's like, well, that's what I do when I don't run ads. I'm like, imagine what you could do with ads. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm
it's
like,
called
how much are you working? She literally said she works like 60 to 70 hours a month and to get that many calls. And I'm like, I work 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe. I mean, like, there's no comparison.
ads be adding up over there, saving you time.
And to me, there's no other better resource than more precious resource than time. And
So
so,
what
yeah.
So, Carrie, what would you say to the woman or man sitting here and they're listening to this episode and they're like, this sounds too good to be true. The only way people can find me on Instagram is posting, and they think, because they're not where you are in business yet, they think I cannot afford to do ads right now, so I should figure out ads later. What would you say to that person who has really sold themselves on why starting ads today is like something that is out of their budget and not possible? What would you say to that person if you saw them on the street right now and they were just like, Carrie?
Getting a person into your funnel, getting a lead is a lot of work. It's hard. And then converting that lead is work. It can be hard. If you are working so hard to get a lead and then have to figure out how to convert a lead, now we're doing doubly hard work. And this is why people burn out. I have trained thousands of health pros, and I have worked with my business partner who is also he has trained tens of thousands of health pros. And almost none of them make money. And I see this all the time with entrepreneurs that have a dream. I've been in so many masterminds, and it's like, to me, it's like the Navy SEALs. Like, you get weaned out. Like, maybe 5% of the people actually stick with their business after years,
Wow. Yeah.
because we're working so hard to get these leads, trying to post in all these Facebook groups and find and spending all this money on like techniques and strategies to batch all of our content. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a social media manager, and I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's too much.
Wow.
And then you got to convert the lead. So just because you got a lead doesn't mean you actually made a sale, right? And
Nope.
I would say, how about we use ads to be able to get the right leads, and you're actually saving money because you're not spending all of your time, energy, and will to live on just trying to get them in the door, and spend the time and energy on getting them converted, because that's really where the magic is.
Mm.
But what we know is that you don't have to spend that much money on ads for what you are spending on probably every little online course there is to teach you how to do all the things. You could be spending a few dollars a day on ads to get that one post that you know is really good, that took you a while to make, and get it seen in front of thousands and thousands of people. And if that's all you're doing to run ads just to get seen, great. Then you can be nurturing those people, and then you can be, conversing with them and getting in their DMs and working to get them on a call or whatever it is that you're doing. But you can't have it hard for both things, because you're just going to burn out. So let's get them in the door and then work your magic in being you to be able to convert.
I've never thought about it until just now, but I'm like, oh my gosh, you hating your business long enough is the reason you'll quit.
Oh yeah.
And if
And
you don't figure out how to love it because you get people that actually find it, your business won't stay open. You'll drive yourself crazy hoping and posting every single day. Because you'll tell yourself, well, someone somewhere didn't do it with that, and she told me not to. And you're holding on to that one hope that you too go viral versus instead of hoping, having like a legit strategy that is proven, you know?
I actually said to my husband, so it took us 5 years to be able to get pregnant. Our first daughter is IVF. Our second daughter is adopted, because IVF, we're terrible at getting pregnant. And I said to my husband, in the midst of all of that organic stuff, which has really brought me into the ads world in and of itself, I said to him, I feel like that, just like I did in all of those years of trying to get pregnant. Every month I'm like hoping, and then I was like, ugh, not again. And I said, for 5 years before I started doing ads, that's what I did. And it was like, I remember when I signed with that first marketing agency, I was like, this is it. This is my Hail Mary. This if this doesn't work, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this anymore. And it worked, right? Like, it just depends
Mhm.
on what your definition of working is. I say that to women all the time. They're like, well, the diet worked and then it didn't. I'm like, well, what's your definition of working? Because if your definition of working is losing a little bit of weight while perseverating your disordered eating, and not being able to have a quesadilla ever again, or eating a different meal than your kids and then gaining weight back, okay, yeah, the diet worked, because that's what diets do. But like, hiring a marketing agency and having a big ad budget, does it work? Yeah, it just depends on what your definition of working is. I was stressed out every month still around my budget, and I had a ROAS of 2.4. That worked, but it's not really sustainable that way. And I couldn't pivot, Ashley, right? Like, do the 5-day challenge, and then we want to retarget, and then we want to, oh, let's try this and let's do that. And like, we couldn't test with an agency because they just had too many clients to be able to really give me what I needed to
And
be.
quick iterations and testing. That's a big thing, is not only is it speed for you, but it's speed. Like when you change your mind on an idea or you want to change something, instead of having to have a chain of command, can you tell so and so, can you get this up? And here's why. Like you can literally do it. You or Kayla can go in and just be like, toot, toot, toot.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's literally like, if you didn't know how to do anything around your house and you had to wait for a handyman every single time to be able to like hang up a picture, right? So
Like how do I turn the washing machine on? How does the dishwasher work? How does the coffee maker work?
right, exactly. And I think that that's like such a big piece of it. But you know what it also is? It's like those wins. And it's almost like Dave Ramsey, when he talks about getting out of debt, he's like, talks about paying off your lowest credit card first, even if it's higher interest, just so you could get that win. And I feel
Mm,
like that's what happens with ads. Like for this 5-day challenge, I just kept saying to Kayla, okay, what are we at today? No, I could have just gone and logged in, but she would just be like, we're at $2.40 a lead, or we just got like 500 more people signed in. And it's just like you have wins every day. And those little wins keep just getting you more and more pumped up. When we're on calls and I hear women, and you guys, like, we have these little celebrations for the women that you work with when they have like a lower cost per click, or when they got, however many more leads that week. It's like to have that many wins in a business that can drain you, it keeps
mm.
going. And
It is.
I say I don't sell like a nutrition, package to women. I sell hope. And
Mm,
I think hope is the most important thing that we need to be able to continue to push and continue to go. And that's what happens when you have control of your company and you have ads working for you. You have this hope every day because you see people coming in, and then you just get to rely on yourself and your own voice to be able to convert them. But it's just this really powerful little bit of like wins every single day.
and it's worth, I mean, on the other side of you figuring out your targeting, because Carrie knows, not every ad Carrie has ever launched turned to gold instantly. But what she didn't do is say, this is not turning to gold. I'm not hitting my target audience. Because yes, we'll be clear. The fact that Carrie's close rate says, yes, she found the exact right person. But I imagine, Carrie, tell me if I'm wrong, but not every ad you ever launched went to the exact right person the first time, right? But you kept going.
You have to, because the only way you fail is when you quit. And that's what's so great about running paid ads, I think, is because this is what you taught me. You said there's always a next move. There's always a
Always.
next move. And when I was doing it the other way, without, in two ways, right? Organically, like how many more Facebook groups could I join to try to get people in? You know what I mean? Like how many
Yeah.
more, like, hey, I'm Carrie, like it's just, how much more could I do that? I just felt like you hit a wall and you're like, I cannot send another message like this.
Yeah.
And then when it came to my marketing agencies, it was just like, there's always a next move, but A, I didn't know what they were. And B, they really weren't willing to do that. And again, I loved every single person I worked with, but they just didn't have the capacity. Because think about it,
Mhm.
how much, if you're spending, I mean, the least I think you can spend is maybe, I just met somebody that said she's spending $2,500 a month on a marketing agency. I'm like, well, that is really, really, really cheap, because the lowest I've ever spent is 5,000 a month on my
Yeah.
marketing agency. Um, but think about how many clients they need to have for them to make it work, right?
Totally. Yeah, that's why I was on, when I started out of college, I was on like 12 or 13 different accounts.
Yeah.
Like you're playing whack-a-mole. You're like, who's emailing the most? Whack-a-mole over here. God, did I set that up? I've got a checklist. Now, is that for this? It's like you're juggling so much and you care and you're good, but you're like, you can't actually like mathematically for the agency to profit in the way that they want it to. Someone can't spend the amount of time that you would want them to spend on your account. They'll spend just enough to make
Right,
sure things are good and see
right,
progress.
right.
And then if they are too inexperienced or haven't had the time, they might just say, I don't know. Maybe it's your message. I don't know. Like they don't know what the next move is.
I was told, you just need to add more budget.
More money. Oh, that's the go-to. Spend more money.
And the other thing was I was really, like, allowed. I mean, I don't know if that's the right word, but really it was one funnel. It was just like one strategy, one way of getting people into my world. And it was like a webinar to book a call. And that's a really expensive strategy and really hard. Think about it in today's day and age, sitting and watching a webinar and then booking a call. And if that's that was my only strategy, because an agency can't manage that many more than that for one person unless you're spending a lot more money with them. Then it was just always stressful. How many calls are we getting booked? How many calls are we getting booked? So there were so many barriers to that. And then it was just like, well, you need to add more budget. You need to add more budget. And I'm like, I can't keep adding budget if I don't feel like
It's
I'm really,
working.
yeah.
I met one of my clients today. She owns a physical therapy practice, and she said that she spent I believe she said six. I need to go back and look at the math. But I think she said six figures on agencies and ads, and that was she was spending over $1,000 a month and not getting a single lead.
Mhm. Oh,
Just
yeah.
last and just last week, she spent it was 55 times. She spent about $600 instead of 1,000
Mhm.
and got 11 leads instead of none.
I
I'm
mean,
like, that is game changer. And they would be like, spend more. And she's like, I would. And you know, Carrie, I will be the first to be like, spend more when it's working.
right,
But yeah, and you have to be willing to spend some initially to like actually get some data. Like that's clear. But
right.
there is always a next move. And that's one thing I remember we talked about. You said she was like, I think it's this. And I was like, I just want to let you know that no matter what, there's always a next move. And your level of experience is really the ticket to like how many moves do you know? And when you've done something long enough, you've got a next one and a next one and a next one lined up.
Well, and I think what I love too is, and I don't think I've ever really talked to you about this, is that I have this whole theory now, and I've said this for a really long time. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. I just have this prediction, and I think it's coming true. I said this about weight loss drugs, and I say this about email. Everybody says, weight loss drugs came out, and I'm like, don't do it, don't do it. We're just going down the same route hole we've been in for decades before. But okay. And then email list is, I mean, I cherish my email list. Don't get me wrong. But especially now when your emails are in these different folders and they're automatically sorted into like spam or personal, I have always said, like, I get inundated with emails. I think my husband, until the new software came out, he had like 170,000 emails, right, that he didn't ever open. And when the software kind of the new software came up on the iPhone, it automatically, organized it into spam and it went down to like 20,000. And I was like, our emails are not going to be seen as, I mean, we can send emails all the time and we should, but
And
they're
we
not.
should.
So we now have a strategy. We haven't really talked to you about this that much, but that we're just gonna take the like after the challenge and reminding people to book a call. We're just gonna go target our email list so it comes up in their feed and run ads to that.
Exactly. It's
So,
brilliant.
because
You
they're gonna see that because we have emails, we have text messaging, and text messaging seems to do better than emails. And but what if we could actually just put ourselves right in their feed and know that they're gonna see it?
That's exactly right. And I do that with my program too. After we do a challenge, I'm like, hey, you're thinking about it. Here's what's in it for you when you enroll. You could be Carrie over here. I'm sharing those stories to those people, and it is so smart.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's cheap. It's like cheap to run ads like that because you know exactly where you're going, like the audience that you have, and you don't have to throw a lot of money at that because it's just very, very targeted in what we want them to do. So I just it's a whole new way of being seen and for people to actually open open the quote unquote email, but open the message of what we're seeing because we're gonna put it right in front of them. And
and the
so
fact that you know how quick and easy that can be, you're like, oh, it's no brainer, easy.
And that's because now I know where the bodies are buried. I'm not doing it. Let me be clear, but I could do it if I wanted to.
That's
And I
right.
think that's been such a game changer. So I think I watch you coach women that are literally just starting out. And I remember saying to you, would this work for me? Because I've been doing this for a long time,
You're
right?
more established. Yeah.
But it's like it doesn't matter. We all think it's like this Wizard of Oz, and it's really just this regular guy behind the curtain, and all of us can do it, should do it, and it's actually we're just spinning our wheels in this hamster wheel, if you will, if you're not doing it. And
And you-
it can be dollars a day. We spend so much money on online courses all over the place that we think is going to get us a return on investment. But I'll say all like your social media courses that you're taking aren't going to actually get the return on investment that learning how to do ads will, and then actually doing them. It's a game.
Mhm.
And now, like, I have a product line. So we're going to start running ads to the product line, which is a totally different industry than what I'm doing now in my private practice. And then we also have a certification for health pros. And then I'm really like, you got me thinking about how, because I speak on stages, how I could actually run ads as a
Whole
speaker.
separate campaign. You
Yeah.
know, Carrie, you said earlier before we wrap up, you said some people I coach are starting out and some people are established. And your question was like, will this work for me? And my thought was, this is going to work for you quicker.
Yeah.
Simply because you have the foundation, you've already got something you know people want to buy, you have the experience. I'm like the business owner who hasn't started needs ads so that they can start getting some revenue. The business owner who's established that has a multiple 6, 7, or 8-figure business, we are pouring gasoline on the fire. And it's why one of the reasons you were able to get results so quickly is because you already done the hard work. You already had the offer, you already had the foundation, you already had you and your experience lined up. And I'm just not surprised that it worked so well for you, but I'm just so grateful to know you. So grateful for you to just be honest enough to share your data and your story. And I also feel like this is just one of the first podcasts we're going to do together because we're going to keep working together and see like when's her $1 million challenge story. Like we're all going to stay tuned for it. But
Yeah.
I just appreciate you so, so much. And it's like been an honor. Like I live for your updates on how your ads are performing.
I get so excited when I can go send you another message about something
I
that we've
know.
been doing. But I mean, it's really to me, it's like I would love to be able to have that $1 million challenge because it means how many more women are getting off of that dieting roller coaster. To me, it's not about the cash in my pocket, it's about how many people we're helping. And so I guess I would just leave with saying, like, what do you believe that you can't do in your own business? Because of a belief system. It's the same thing that I say to women about their health and wellness. We don't rise to the level of what we say we want. We fall to the level of what we believe we're worthy of. And I just did not believe that I was worthy enough of knowing this skill set. And so I'm so grateful to you for believing in it, believing in me, but you didn't even just believe in me, you just believe in women. You just believe in people because it's possible. And that's why we all need you in this world as well. So thank you.
You're the best. I mean, I really believe that we've all created something and worked so hard to create it. Why let it go to waste because we can't get people to find it?
That's the
Why have shiny object syndrome and actually question if we're doing what we were called to do and we know we were, we just don't know how to get people to find us.
Exactly, exactly. And to your point, I think that there are some foundational things we have to get ready before
Yeah.
we launch them. It's not like it's like I got email, an email address, now I'm ready to launch ads. But I think as so often once we're ready with our messaging, we just think we have to grind. And it really does not have to be a grind. It doesn't have to be that hard.
No,
Mhm.
it doesn't. And that's why ads is speed, as I like to say. And it's been so cool watching you like speed things up with your business too. I'm so grateful for you. Carrie, if people are super interested about this whole like way that Carrie approaches nutrition, how can they find you?
Yeah, so I have my website is carrielupoli.com. So if you're a health pro and you're thinking about, okay, wait, I want to be able to teach this kind of stuff to others, then you can
Mm.
see that on my site. And if you are a person that's like, wait, I really need to take a hold of my health for the right reasons, then that will lead you to my private practice. But the other thing is every single morning I go live on my Instagram at Carrie_Lupoli because I believe that morning time is the most important time for us to be able to reset and realign our intentions, our goals and manage our time. So I go live every day to be able to encourage you to be able to do that too. So those are all the ways.
I love it. And what's your Instagram for that?
At Carrie_Lupoli, Lupoli.
That's right. Go join Carrie in the morning, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode.